Okay. Okay. I've successfully gotten Devo from under the bed. Everything is good now. Everything's fine. Hi, friends. There's so many of you here already. My God. All right. Who do we got? Let's go through it real fast. Allie, Sarah, Fruity, Travis, Panda, Bunno. Hi, friends. How's everyone doing? How was your morning? How are things? Also, Allie, thank you for getting those shoutouts out there for me. I was gonna get that, but So Devo likes to hide under the bed sometimes. But then he freaks himself out because he's stuck, quote unquote, under the bed. And he threw his stupid little toy under the bed. And then couldn't figure out how to get out. So he just sat under there crying. And it was just horrible. But he's free now. He's free and safe now. Also, congrats, Panda. I'm glad that you're well on your way. Either have met your goal or are on your way to meeting your goal. That's super exciting. Alright. Okay, again, just making sure I haven't, like, missed anything or anyone. I think we're good. Bunno, thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. But yeah, hi. Welcome, everyone. It's a Monday. Back on that Bloodstained grind. I'm excited. I have missed it. Exciting. I can't wait to see them. Allie coming in hot today. She is ready to go. But yeah, hello. It's a very sleepy Monday for me. I didn't sleep much last night, which is fine. I don't usually sleep much anyway, but I made an exception and stayed up way too late playing video games last night, and then stayed up even later trying to read my book. And so I've gotten maybe like an hour and a half of sleep. But it's fine. We're just gonna, like, chill out and take it easy today. Oh, goodness. I need all y'all to get some more sleep, okay? There can only be one person who doesn't get enough sleep ever, and it's me. I have filled that position. No, I hope everyone can get some good rest in the next day or so. Or at least, like, try to take it easy. I'm sorry, Valheim is just so good. I'm not gonna go to bed after my evening stream. It's not gonna happen. I will stay up and play some more Valheim. Because this is what I do now. This is my life now, and that's okay. I mean, you can tell me to, but if Lamia's not screaming at me, it doesn't count. And I had her in my lap practically all of last night, so she was content and fine and didn't scream at me to go to bed. It was great. But yeah, you live in the Punji Pit now. I'm sorry. That's just where you live. You fell in. You know it's there. You know that they are there. You know that all of the Punji Pits exist. And that's it. I didn't realize, to be fair, and I'm not making excuses for Travis. That's up to him to make. However, I didn't realize it was as late as it was last night when I started playing. Because I think I hopped on, like, around, like, 9:40, almost 10 o'clock. Maybe even later than that, honestly. But yeah, I didn't stop playing until 2 in the morning. Hoopsies! It's true, Travis does make his own choices. Hence why I'm not making excuses for him. I just know I got on much later than I normally do, which kind of threw everything off for me because I was like, oh, it's fine. It's only like, you know, it's only like 10:30, and then I looked and it's like 11:30 at night, and I was like, oh. So I made choices last night, but that's okay. I'm an adult, and ooh, game, you're very loud. Yeah, no, I'm an adult, and I have to reap the consequences of my actions. And I have. And yeah. Right? You have to have, at minimum, 2 hours to play Valheim. Otherwise, it's pointless. But... Oh no, I forgot! I forgot about the hat! When will you learn? When will you learn? That your actions have consequences! I can't make my voice go that high. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone who had to hear that. Anyway. It's very good fashion. I mean, look at us. From toe to tip. That's fashion. Well, why didn't you sleep yesterday, you goober? Oh. But yeah. We look stellar. Not even concerned about it. What did we do last time? We defeated a dragon. And that was pretty alright. Our crops are still growing. Did I give him new crops? Yes I did. Okay. We got an ID card. We got... I'm so proud of you, Fruity. Good job, friend. Okay, this is bad water level that I can't access because I can't swim. This is the fountain hole. I assume reasonable for Fruity is anytime before 5 a.m. That's just me guessing, though. Can we go to the train? It says catch, but those are applause emotes. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Right, I got the big, ridiculous, steam-powered sword. What are we doing? Where am I going? I don't think I can explore much more. Is this Yu-Gi-Oh? I mean, it could be. Hi, Dougie. How are you doing, friend? I loved your cursed cosplay last night, by the way. It was very good. Hermble, very good. Fuck. What are we doing? Where am I going? I know Travis said that this is the part of the game where he got lost, and I absolutely understand why, because I don't know where the heck we're supposed to go. Also, is the game too loud? It feels significantly louder than anything else I've had going on. This is not where I need to be. Game sounds fine on your end, then I'll just turn it down in my headphones. Oh, that's where the portrait went. It was a very good cosplay. We love Hermble. I need to play Ooblets. I bought it. Oops, I bought Ooblets. And I need to play it now. What? Been over here? Yes, I have. I remember reading this dumb demon passage. I want to go down here. I would like to go down here. Oops, blet. Oops, blet! No, maybe I'll play some Ooblets later today. Catch me in the Discord. No, I'm gonna be playing more Valheim. Probably. Hi, Devo. You're not stuck under the bed anymore. I need you to not cry. Hi, we're an Ooblets only channel now. It's fine. I don't understand why anyone's concerned, Devo, buddy. We have access to iron stuff. I did bring all the iron from the swamp base to the main base. That's what I was doing last night. It's great. Don't even worry about it. I don't want to be out here. I don't want to be out here! Wolfman, no! That's what I did last night. It was great. Excuse you, bad chimera. I don't want to be here. For a you have to say a fully upgraded pickaxe, because otherwise it sounds ridiculous. And we're here for reasonableness. It's true. Do you have that beast milk? Hey, do you want to give me some of your beast milk? What's your next mission, Fruity? What is your plan? Devo, bud, you gotta stop. No, you gotta be done. Oh god, I'm running into bunny ladies now. Also, give me your tail. I need a new scarf. Wait, you're gonna build a moat around your island house? Your island house that is technically already surrounded by water. Go away, doggo! I just want to kill this turret, that's all. So you're gonna put extra water around your house that is already surrounded by water. Second Modi. I mean, sure. There can always be more water. No, come back here. Is that even a question, Travis? Of course there's gonna be a bridge. This is Fruity we're talking about. Can I... Not shards. Inventory. Also, what is that? Okay. Even if this isn't where I need to be. The latest in ecclesiastical research. Rather hazy photograph. Well, this is a bit of a problem. 'Cause I don't know where I'm going. And... yeah. But if I could get a bunny lady tail, that'd be cool. Pretty, don't talk about impregnable fortresses when there are bunny ladies around. Dog, no! Dog, no! Is that's our jump button. It's a bad pupper? I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. Can we, like, jump in a reasonable fashion, maybe? Yeah, where the hell am I supposed to go? Give me your milk! Not the coins. Stupid fairies. We hate them. Okay. I mean, I might as well save our progress, right? Right? Where the hell? I don't think I can... But Dominique is so far away. Don't you know? I'm talking the creatures. We did get the photo. Yeah. Am I supposed to go back to the library? I mean, I'm sure it's an important photo. I have figured as much. The only place that I can think of that might need, like, identification is a library. Do I need to go talk to Library Man again? My book is never overdue. Never, ever overdue. Ouch. Bad frog. Sounds like I need to go back to the library. Everyone's worrying about this overdue book. Sounds like I need to go back to the library. That would have been my other guess if it wasn't the train station. We'll go back to the library. It's fine. See, I am being kind of, sort of, semi-intelligent sometimes. Is the library here? Is this the library? I did just check the train station. And it said that I needed some sort of item for it, and it was unhelpful. Hey, Library Man.
OD, you seem to know a lot. How does one board the train here in the castle?
That old thing. Why would you want to?
I like trains!
Because?
You need credentials to pass through the station gate. I could give you mine.
Really?
But the credentials must carry your photograph.
Don't even worry about it, OD. I got some shit for it.
Ah, that's right. Your kind has.
No, we have. No, we have. I have a picture. I have a photo.
Come close. It would be the church.
I have a photo in my pocket. OD, give me your shit. I have a photo.
Oh, a photograph. I have one of those.
Well now, misprepared.
Hell yeah, I am.
Here you are. Your very own credentials.
Here's your fake ID.
Thank you, OD.
Sketchy man. All right. Cool. Now back to the train station. It's Dr. Octo. Only vampires have reflections. That seems wrong. How's it going, friend? How are you doing? How are things? We have a fake ID, which means we can go drinking at the bars and have no one guess that we're underaged. Let's go. That should have 100% landed. Now we need to find a cat hair mustache. Not the cat hair mustache. Not the mustache. Goodness gracious. Get that pig out of here. Get that pig out of here. It's a good one, Travis. I like that. I like that. Heh. Alright, so I'm excited to get back to Bloodstained and Ender Lilies today, right? But I am kind of sad that we have to wait until Saturday for more Dark Souls. Because I need to continue to experience the ridiculousness that is that randomizer. To be fair, I could do my own playthrough off stream, with a different character, and it would be fine, because it would still be completely unknown to me. The Waluigi he's so bad. He doesn't look great. And I'm sorry that I brought this into the world, but I'm glad someone's happy about it. I guess just compared to a lot of the other Waluigis I've made, he's not as good. Not 100 Ford Kings. Man. Get wrecked. Okay. No, I'm very excited to continue on with the nonsense that is Dark Souls. Stop! This isn't great. I need this dog to not be on top of me. I mean, I'm sure that I assumed it was probably like one of the backers' dogs. These ladies don't drop tails, and that's upsetting to me. I would argue that Waluigi can be good. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me through. Thank God. Okay. Oh, not him again.
Wait, I didn't come here to fight.
Probably.
Then you should not have come at all.
Oh my God! Get out of here, Zangetsu.
May have to wait.
Oh, this train.
Hey, you catch on quickly. I have business further ahead. But I find myself at odds with the powerful witchery driving these carriages.
Surely nothing a man of your ability cannot handle.
I already conducted a search inside. But there is an area I cannot pass because of the sorcery it requires.
I can do that?
Ah. Well, it just so happens I have business ahead as well. Does this mean we have a truce?
No.
For now.
Oh.
What?
Excuse you, sir. Excuse me? Oh, no. I am not a fan. Get him, Zangetsu. Get him, bud. I don't understand what the number counter in the top right is. Like, is it... I don't know what it is.
Get on this train.
Oh, okay, thanks. No, stop! Stop! we're just gonna run. I'm sure I'm gonna be able to come back through, right? Like... Oh, fucking hell. No! Everything is bad. Oh, number counter is the distance. Okay. That makes sense. Please. Please? Did I run past it? I must have. Hold on. We're gonna ignore chat for a minute while I get really lost. I can go over it. Oh, no! Okay.
Get this open.
Yeah, no, I got it, Zangetsu. You should have yelled at me about that earlier, but hey. It's fine. It's fine. Oh. happen. Stop, bunny! Lady, go! Not a boss fight. Not a boss fight! Okay, hold on. I just need everything to chill out for a minute. Ouch! Please jump when I tell you to, Miriam. Yikes. It's fine. It's fine. Gotta remember all of my dang moves. What are the buttons? There it is, there it is, there it is. Is it dead? It's dead. We did it. Okay, it's fine. We've done it. We killed the train. Everything's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I wasn't even concerned. I hate timed sections, honestly.
Save your thanks. I didn't do it for you.
Fine. But I owe you all the same.
Damn right you
are
do.
a fierce one, Shardbinder Miriam.
It was fine. I wasn't even that concerned. Jesus Christ. It's a very long hallway. I'm so fast. I always panic. I mean, and I know that's kind of the point, but I always get concerned when timers show up because it's like, well, what if it's mean? What if it's mean and only just gives me enough time to get through? Cool. Can you not kick me? Okay, what is... Sarah, thank you for the bubble. Good. I hate time limits. Also, this seems kind of... That seemed a little sus. Ouch! You know what? Everything's fine. My sword doesn't stop anytime I hit a wall. Looking at you, Dark Souls. I played a little bit of Dead Rising, but not a ton. Sir. Sir! Your toe hurts. Not a thing. No thank you. I don't like timers. They make me anxious. And I'm already anxious enough as is. What are you? Oh, wait, we've already seen you. You're just a tougher version of what we've seen. Alright. Have a good day at work, Dougie! I hope everything goes fine. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi to us, though. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna let my little night buddy... I was gonna let my little night buddy take care of it, but... If Dougie doesn't go to work in a New Blitz cosplay, he's doing it wrong. Look, even Hermble's gotta work, okay? Hermble's a responsible ooblet. Ma'am. Ma'am. Alright. Dang. Can I not break these? These look like I could break them. It looks like there are monkeys in there. Dominique, what are you doing here? Dominique is evil, isn't she?
Dominique.
Dominique is evil, isn't she? She's 100% evil.
Looking for Zangetsu. Have you seen him?
Yes. We fought together aboard the train.
100%
Perhaps I
evil.
misjudged his intentions.
What? Zangetsu was with you. But that's...
Is something wrong?
I asked him to go to the underground sands, but he must have chosen to disregard that request. If you see him again, would you ask him to report back to me?
All right.
Alfred could spring a trap on any one of us at any time. I hope Zangetsu gets his priorities
I don't trust
straight.
her.
Thank you, Miriam. And stay safe.
I don't trust her. The way the music ended so suddenly. Not these guys! And I don't have... I'm gonna fill up a little bit. I hate frogs. I hate them. I hate them. Days and weeks have gone by, but despite my many attempts to cultivate more crystal, the only way I have successfully proliferated it is with the original homunculus subject. I've tried transplanting the crystal into similar subjects, yielding the same pitiable results. I must be failing to remember something. Is frog worse than worm? No, worm is still the worst. I mean, I enjoy a good frog. Look, I love me a good frog. Don't like these frogs, though. The crystal proliferates across my subject's body like a corruption, but the process is far too slow. To amass enough crystal to summon, Bale, as my superiors have asked, would require centuries. When I first discovered the crystal, it grew more quickly. How do I reproduce that? How? What am I doing wrong? Well, first off, you're trying to summon demons. Probably for all the wrong reasons too. That's a door. I'll have to think about getting up there at some point. Yeah, save that progress, because we've got another boss already. No. No. Bad frogs.
I move so fast.
What?
Even see me.
Sir.
So fast.
I move so fast. Can you not with your bad laser tail? Look. Look. Oh my god. Okay. Not lasers and cameras. Dangerous creatures. Can I reach him? I can! Can we just... Hold on a second. I don't have anything more for mana. Hold on. That's okay. We'll just sit here for a little bit. It's fine. How's everyone doing? How's it going? No, stay there.
How long can you keep this up?
Rude. His walk. Yeah, get him, Knight.
You'll never be fast enough.
Ouch! Oh, this is gonna be a bit of a problem. Let's change our little buddy here. Because I've got potions that she can use. Give?
Hold on.
Okay.
Take this.
How long can you keep this up?
Sir, you're so jumpy.
Who are you calling slow?
That man was ridiculous. I don't I don't understand what just happened. But that's okay. First try. First try. But that means I can get through the library now because I got the new move. Or was that? Do. Also, give me back my boy. Give me back my boy.
Come.
Might have been. How? Was it not a shard? Oh well, whatever. We'll figure it out. It's fine. Oh, it was a directional one? Okay. It just shows up and goes away so fast. Stop moving! My god! Okay, it's fine. But I like... Travel along a ray of light. You can reflect off walls to reach new areas. But I like my chainsaw. But I love my chainsaw. Get out of here. Get out of here. Alright. Ah! Not a curse! Please! Okay, alright. It's like... Alright, hear me out. If there is... Weird. That's weird. But if there is a move that you are going to require me to use to progress the game, make it so that I don't have to constantly switch it out. Alright? Alright. Let's go there. Thanks, Pokemon. Oh, Lord! Oh, I hate that. Oh! Oh! I am displeased with our current situation. I would like to find some place to say no, don't attack. I want to listen to the rock. Knight, stop! Knight, stop! It's a real shame, that. Okay. I just wanted to listen. That's all. The aim on this is super wacky as well. I mean, it's pretty metal. I'll give you that. It's pretty dang metal. Alright, save progress. I would also like to get into that little space up above, which we can do now. Because we got this thing. There we go. Just takes me back. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's go deal with the bad grinders. No! Look, we were doing so good and then I freaked myself out. I hear more mad riffs. Ah! Okay, but if I could get a guitar that shot fire, it'd be pretty great. Bruh. Hey. Hey, Knight friend? Please. Please. I want... Fuck in hell. Fucking hell. Please, go. Just go through. Does the... Oh, no. That is a very bad chair. I forgot the time stopped. It's fine. It's fine. We got the thing. Thank you for the lurk, Panda. Please. 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 I'm just getting flashbacks to the bad spikes in Symphony of the Night. Please! You just gotta briefly tap the jump button, that's all. That's all. Gotta go do that again. I gotta go get the health again. It's fine. It's fine. We haven't properly died in a long while. Can't be too upset. I don't see what the problem is. It's just a little jump. You just gotta jump a little. Please, 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 please. Okay. Gotta first try it again. We'll get it. It's fine. We'll do it. It's fine. No! I hit jump. I would like to not be here anymore. Please. Please. Please! I was almost through the door! You do. You just jump a little. It's fine until the bad helmets come and get ya. Please. Rude. Absolutely rude. Get him. Get him. No, you're supposed to get her! Get her! Get her. Okay. Alright. Alright. Look here. Alright. I don't want to do this again. They could be. They could be this cool. Stop, chair! I didn't sit in you! Oh. Bad. Bards are the best. You just gotta be... I don't know. Bards are only as cool as you are. Oh no. I've jumped terribly. No, Dragon, if you could just not for a little bit. So you can break the chair. That's pretty cool. I would like another save spot. Preferably one that's not hiding from me. Oh, I panicked. Okay, it's fine. Do I get to pretend that I'm a chair? Is that the skill? Thanks for the ammo capacity that I will never use. I would like to leave. I would like a save spot. Please. Please? Please. That is on wheels? Which means that it should move. It's fine. I'll figure it out in a minute. It's fine. No, I don't want to be anywhere here. But I want to be a chair. This is a problem. Can we get our fairy friend again? Hey, fairy friend. Hey, friend that is a fairy. You want to heal me up? I would love it if you healed me up.
Hold on.
Thanks. Here, let's just stand on the opposite sides of the room for a minute. supposed to heal me a bit. That was all. That was all! Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not nearly as bad as I was expecting it to be. I say that. Oh my god. Okay. God, oh my god. Where am I going? It's not great. Wolfhead's still best. Oh, let's just slide on out of there. It might be worth using one of those waystones. And I hate that. I hate that for me. Sir. Sir! Okay. We've already made it. We are there. This is hell. Okay. Sir. I don't know what I expected. Didn't expect a poke in the butt. That's for sure. Please. Please. No! It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure there's a way for me to grab some. It was the other one, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. No, I mean... I know there's a way to poke OD at some point. No. Bad. All bad. Please, just let me up there. Ugh. Excuse me. I don't think you did, but it definitely, they sound the same, so. You know.
Here's what I've turned.
You know.
Work. Here's your reward.
That's cute. That's super cute. I appreciate the fact that they managed to get the same voice actor. Okay. Save. And then we gotta check on our crops.
It's good
Gotta
to see. So,
make some
what will
stuff.
it be?
We gotta make a lot of things. Be very good if he did. Can we? These are all bad. Okay. Can we prepare any food? Can we enhance any of our shards?
I'll go with this.
Might as well. Okay.
Promise you'll stop Jeeble.
I make no promises of any kind, sir. Sir. What does she want? A thing that I can't make yet.
Another message arrow has arrived from Zangetsu. In this chamber where the bell tolls, seek the demon woman basking in blood. A female vampire, perhaps?
Vampires drink blood. They don't bask in it.
Just sounds like Elizabeth Bathory to me.
Wait, there's more.
Travis.
The room was an ocean of gore. From some grisly battle, perhaps. And if I'm reading this right, the demon he spoke of was able to instantly collect this blood without laying hand or lips on it.
Well, that means even the slightest wound in her presence would put me in danger.
King of Fighters for girls. I have
She
no
won't
idea.
be easy to defeat. You had best go in prepared.
Can we...
What are you looking to buy?
Everything. I want to buy everything.
Is this right? Thank you. Is this right? Many
Can we-
thanks.
What do you mean that boss? What do you mean that boss? I need to sell some
What
stuff.
are you looking to sell?
Let's sell. I'm never gonna use
Is
these.
this right? Then we have a deal.
Devo. Bud.
Is this right? Can
No.
I help you with something else?
Oh no. No, Devo is not stuck again. He just wants to scream at me. That's all. He's just screaming. Just to scream. Devo.
Is this right? Thank
Hey,
you.
bud. Could have a
Is
shovel.
this right? Thank you. Is this right? Thank you.
Want a Devo update? He's doing good. Hey, Devo, come here. Do you want to say hello to everyone? Hi. He's been very pleased since he got his new toy. But that also means that he's gonna cry more because he has to tell me all about the toy that he's got. Hi. With the chin scratches. Yeah? Me here? He hasn't been sleeping with me the last few days, though, and it's made me very upset. Because I love snuggling this little idiot. Look at him. Look at him. Look at this dumb face. Look at this sweet dumb face. Oh, that is a Lamia update. Sorry, there was just so much Devo on the screen. Lamia's doing great, though. She is currently sleeping under the desk. She is also non-stop screaming at me all the time. Yeah, you got a free Devo update. It's fine. I don't know what her issue has been the last couple of days or so, but she has just been on one and refuses to leave me alone and demands all of the attention all of the time. And it's just yelling constantly. And then, like, going from the blanket I have in front of my, like, little entertainment center to my footrest, and then back again, but spending, like, a minute in each spot and just going, ah! 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 It's like, Lamia, I need you to stop. It's awful. It's terrible. And it's like, I'll pick her up to, like, love on her and stuff, and she'll get all mad that I'm holding her, and then wander away.
Is this right? Then we have a deal.
And then I'll, like, I don't know, she's got water, she's got food, I give her treats every night. I don't know what more she wants
Is
from
this
me.
right? Thank you. Is this right? Thank you.
But yeah,
Is this right? Thank you.
and there's Devo screaming in the background again. It's great. Ooh, this one's not terrible. My intelligence drops by 1. It's not bad. Okay. But yeah, my children, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Love them. But my goodness.
Is this right? Thank you. Is this thank you?
Okay. Let's
What are you
purchase some
looking
more
to
things
buy?
again.
Is this right? Then we have a deal.
We are full up there. don't need that many.
Is
Let's
this
stick
right?
with 4. Yeah, I
Many
sold the
thanks.
plunderer's ring. What of it? What of it? What are you gonna do? Gonna yell at me?
Is this right? Then we have a deal.
What are you gonna
Is this right? Then
do?
we have a deal. Is this right? Then we have a deal.
I'm just
Is
gonna
this
start
right?
like
Many
buying
thanks.
multiples of everything
Is
so
this
that we
right?
just
Thank
have
you.
them.
Is this right? Then we have a deal. Is this right? Thank you. Is this many thanks? Is this when we have a deal?
I'm gonna try and keep... Don't have enough to buy anything else. That's okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I should sell some... I should
Did you
sell
forget
some
something?
shards.
What are you
Mouthful.
looking to sell? Is this right?
I'm never
Many
gonna summon
thanks.
Pig Friend. I like Pig Friend. But I'm never gonna summon Pig Friend.
Is this right? Then we have a deal.
Hate fishing. Hate it. Hate it. Hate. Did I mention I hate
What are you
fishing?
looking to sell?
Because I hate fishing. Hate fishing. Get your nasty fishing stuff out of here. I don't want to sell any of that. I want to purchase.
What are you looking to buy?
If you fish a man, you have a mermaid. Oh no. You should put him back. I don't think he's supposed to be out of the water. That's incorrect. Okay, let's
Is
buy
this
some
when
white
we have a
sauce.
deal?
And then
Is
buy
this
another heavy
many
cream.
thanks? Is this
Another
right?
red
Then
bean
we have a deal.
paste.
Is this
And some more
many
noodles. Okay.
Thank you. I'll be here if you need
Oh,
me.
oh wait, no, this is the Japanese voice actor. Okay. I was like, holy shit, he was Nekomaru? We love our boy. Nekomaru is my favorite. I love Nekomaru.
Hi, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you, Travis. I'm glad I wasn't alone with
What are we
that.
transmuting this time?
I think I've heard Nekomaru's like Japanese voice, and it was also very good, but the English voice actor for Nekomaru is just perfect. We love him. Ah, shit, look at all the things I can make! Ooh, I should make some curry sauce? I should make some
I'll
curry
go with
sauce.
Great.
Okay. I can make curry and rice for
I'll
the
go
lady
with this.
now. Perfect. I
Great.
thought it looked kind of like curry.
I'll go with this.
What else can we make?
Great.
Let's make some corn chowder.
Great.
Let's
I'll
make a
go with
pork
this.
cutlet. Let's
Great.
make... Let's make
I'll
some
go with
cheese.
this. Great.
I'm gonna make some
I'll go with
manju as well.
Great.
Okay.
Come back if things start to go awry.
You gotta go eat some food. Hey, you should go eat some food. Go make some food. It's important. It's important. Let's go give this lady her
Did you
curry
break-
rice. Yes, yes, I did.
That's it. How? Oh, it's. I feel. You're welcome. Is there anything? Yes. I'll help you figure.
She never stops. She never stops.
Suppose-
Is that omelet rice? Is that omelet
Did
rice?
you-
I don't think I have that. I don't have that. Really though? Feeding grandma's the real game. For real though? Kinda, yeah, actually. Okay, so let's get our crops, plant new ones. I'm gonna take a short break so I can go use the
I finished
restroom.
the harvest. And a
go ahead and get more potatoes.
Can you plant?
Sure.
That's good. Cool. Okay, yeah, let's take a very, very short break so your girl can use the restroom. I gotta pee. And then we'll do some more dang nonsense. Then we'll do some more dang nonsense. Then we'll do some more dang nonsense. Alrighty. Get out of here, Spotify. Okay. What were we doing? We planted crops. We did some things. Bad meat grinders. That's right. But I don't wanna. But I don't wanna. Oh, okay. It's fine. We can do it. We'll do it. We'll make it work. It's gonna be fine. Let's go. Leveled up. It's great. It's great. Yeah. I am also extremely excited to get back to Ender Lilies this evening. I was really enjoying that game. Everything about it was just very, very nice. There we go. Up we go. Gotta be properly awake for it. You gotta. Nah, it's very good, and I'm, like I said, I'm very excited to, like, check out more of it. Can you not? Well, it was that easy. And it wasn't even for lore nonsense! Or a secret thing! Well, this is a problem. Ooh! Right! This is where the bad dragon is. Not that. There's nothing up there. Woo! Dragon's dead. Okay. Alright. This room, kind of unfortunate. Ooh. Oh, that's extremely unfortunate. No. The wrong bad dragon. No. Incorrect bad dragon. How do I summon chair? Beautiful, perfect. You love to see it. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how to get to the other side of that room just yet. Can't threaten the dragon with a good time. It's true. It's true. Absolutely accurate. No! Get out of here! Get out of here with that! Also, the not great Thunder Sword still hanging around. Dropped an emerald. That's cool. Gotta go up. Gotta go up. Can we go up, though? We can. Not me freaking out! No! Fucking hell. Please! Please! I hate them! I should have known he was attacking it. Not cursed. Not cursed. Good to know. As much as I love the idea of of having a chair to summon. Don't see myself using it, honestly. This is not great! This is not great! Well, let's eat some food. Okay, okay, alright, what's over here? Garlic. In theory? Oh no, I jumped! No, I jumped! Please, game. Oh, almost left. Okay, well, we'll explore the lower portion of that much later. Key of Celeste is required. Please stop. Please stop. Oh, thank God. Okay, okay. Welcome back, Allie. What's in here? What's in here? At last I have solved it! My first homunculus subject was a child and recently deceased. The younger the subject and the sooner after death I act, the more quickly the crystal spreads through the body. So far I have worked only with cadavers, but with a living child. Yes, my position in the guild is secure now. The guild has supplied the children I need. I care not how, and bade me transplant the crystal. My old friend vehemently opposes... A child. Thank you, Travis. My old friend vehemently opposes the move on moral grounds, but I wish only to complete this experiment, replenish the guild's coffers, and continue my historic work. Now, let the experiments begin! Evil? I mean, how much more evil could you be? There was a room down here. Hold on a second. Oh wait, no, it was locked. I do want to see what's here, though. Woof! Please. Please, game. Sir, I just want to get past you. That's all. Oh! I got stuck in a jump animation. Can I take these through? I can't. Unfortunate. We wish it were a Katamari. It's just a big ol' hand. Just a big hand. Get out of here. Get out of here. Well, now we know. I mean, that's what matters, right? Now we've got the knowledge. I heard the sound, but I missed what it was. Oh well. Sir, no thank you. Da 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 Katamari Damacy. Da, 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 da. I want to go to this concert. I wish that this dang sword had a little more range, but it does not. I mean, not a bad thing. Demons know how to rock, what can I say? Where is this? Oh, oh, okay, all right. Yikes, we're gonna die. Or not, or we won't. It was not fantastic. And now we've eaten all of our food. Sir? That was a ton of damage you did to me. Eee. Not a bee fairy! Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I want to go to there. I want to go to there. Bad. Either way. It's too powerful. A bee and a fae together? Too powerful. It needs to not exist. Okay, let's... Oh, come on. Please! Oh. It would be an episode of Doctor Who. Look. No. Just bad. Just mischievous with all the power in the world and terrible and just bad. I love the Agatha Christie episode. No one is surprised. No one is shocked. Dragon, I'm gonna need you to go away. Fucking hell. Yikes. Okay, let's go back to the save spot. Sir. Yum. I should start thinking about what I want to eat after stream. Fucking hell. Because food is good and important. And I too need to eat. I'm not gonna eat these. Unless... No, we're not eating bees. No bees. Why is it doing that? Why? When I do that? Please. Did I not have it? I'm an idiot. No, I want to grab it the other way. I want to grab it this way. Hey, you're supposed to protect me! Fucking hell! Why is it getting stuck on everything? It's fine. We've done it. We've only gone and done it. Okay. I wish it could phase through walls! Please. Nothing there. I mean, I don't expect there to be a secret in here. But we did. We got it. Dragon, I'm gonna need you to not. Alright. Oof. I just want to leave this bad room. I don't want to go to that bad room, though. Not appreciating the timing on these at all. There we go. I mean, it is. It is all bad rooms. You are correct. Okay, alright. That's all of that room explored. Oh? I mean, absolutely. Is this what the library is like, Allie? Just everything moving constantly, nothing happening, but everything bad occurring all at once. It's infested with dragons and monsters. Sir. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, every library has a has a meat grinder section, right, sir? That's not great. Okay, let's heal up. Yikes! Oh, that's the dragon dead. Okay. Right as I paused to heal up. Hey, got some dragon eggs. That's cool. First try. Alright, maybe it's just me, but I feel like a lot of the last number of bosses that we've faced off have been extremely easy. I think the only one that we've really had any sort of difficulties with was Zangetsu. All the other ones have just been like 1 or 2 tries? The really cool bosses are coming up? Why, if you say so. Hall of Termination! Yay. Okay, alright. I guess I just was like expecting them to be a bit more difficult. No. No! Did she die? No, she did not. Now she died. Everything is fine. I mean, like, I've definitely, like, don't get me wrong, like, I've enjoyed them. It just feels like, exceptionally easy? Again, easier than I was expecting. So maybe I'm just a pro. Not. I can't say that with a straight face. It is not the truth. I think I got too good. Oh, you sneaky. Sneaky, sneaky. Okay, nothing there. Yeah? I mean, I'm using potions, but I'm using them before I die. That means I'm good, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. My theories were correct! The crystal is spreading through the children's bodies, even faster than I expected. However, my superiors have delivered the grave news that no more children can be provided. This is a setback. With my current materials, it can take more than 10 years to amass the crystal we need. Required. My old friend has taken to spending time with the children. I cannot fathom why. He knows the future that awaits them once they've grown enough crystal. But it is his heart to break. He mentioned a new line of study, the manipulation of kinetic energy. To try and slow the crystal's progress? He cannot be so foolish. Look, if I wasn't allowed to use healing stuff, then why'd they give it to me? Then why'd they make it so that I could use it? You know? If no healing, then why give? sword boys aren't nearly as bad as they used to be. That's great. This hall looks dope as fuck. I'd want it in less gold, but still real cool looking. Get out of here, sir. Ooh. You're just missing out on fun, Fruity. That's all it is. Ouch. Ouch. It's not an ideal place to be fighting that thing. I love me some good cubes, though. Look. You need cubes to kill all the weirdly horny people. Did you learn nothing from Hellraiser? Yeah, but is that a bad thing? Is everything being neat in Cruelty Squad bad? Because it sounds pretty dope to me. Look at all these ammo capacity things that I'm getting that I will never use. Right? We are meat? Is that too bad? Is it such a bad thing? Well, that just means there's more game for you to play. That sounds like a great thing. Come back here. Oh my god. Love Cruelty Squad. I have too many games that I'm supposed to play off stream now, and it's not great. I mean, it is. It's fantastic, but it makes it a little difficult. Oop! 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 So I need to play more Cruelty Squad. I need to play Ooblets. I need to do this randomizer run of Dark Souls on my own time as well as on stream. Too many things happening all at once. Sorry, I just thought about something. And I need to remember it for 20 minutes so that I can maybe do something about this thought that I've had when the time comes. And no, I can't, because it's a secret. It's a secret? Only stream all the time? I'll never do anything else, it'll just be streaming all the time. 24/7 stream, let's go! We'll only take breaks every once in a while so I can shower and eat, but like, I can eat on stream. All my classes too. Yeah, because there definitely can't be any sort of like, you know, reprimand for that. 168-hour stream, let's go! Hey. Excuse me. Look, at that point, if I was just doing 24-hour streams all the time, if I just streamed my everyday life, I wouldn't even need to go to school anymore, right? So it'd be fine. It'd be fine. Not the toes of death. I'm not. I mean, yeah, pretty much. But I'm not gonna read out that number because I will sing it, even though I care not for rent. I will sing it, and I need to not, for everyone's sake. Ooh. Goodbye, fairy. Exactly. You just gotta ignore it. Very nice. Genuinely, I'm not that into musicals. And what musicals I am into. It's very not niche necessarily, but it's a very like specific brand of, it's usually just, it's Sondheim. It's just Stephen Sondheim musicals. That's all I care about. I just love the weird, quirky ones. Honestly, Into the Woods and Sweeney Todd are my all-time favorites. And, like, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, my all-time favorite musicals, because that's kind of a given, but just, like, are definitely, like, top-tier favorite, like, just favorite media, honestly. I'm not anti-musical. I will give any musical a chance. But, like, if I don't like it, I'm gonna let you know that I don't like it. I fucking love Sweeney Todd. There are too many musical people in the theater world. Facts. Facts. No, I love Sweeney Todd. I love Into the Woods. I just... I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. There are good ones and bad ones in it, just like any other one. Which is why, like I'm saying, like, I'm not anti-musical. I'm just very particular about musicals. But hey, Verily, how's it going? Welcome. God, please, I would die if I had to listen to musicals every time I had to, like, work on a set. You know what? For somebody who's not, like, super into musical theater, I've done a lot of musical theater. Good God. Thinking back on all the stuff that I've done, just never again. Never again. Rocky Horror was a really fun production to be in, though. I will say. The musical discussion only just started, and it's probably gonna end now, too. But, I don't know. Yeah, every job. Every job. I didn't get paid for any of that, though. I didn't care for Greatest Showman. I don't care for Hugh Jackman. I don't know. Also, it just felt weird. It felt weird glamorizing the whole, you know, Barnum and Bailey nonsense. I don't know. Like Oklahoma with Hugh Jackman? I don't know that I've seen that. Is there stuff? I love the movie. I love Moulin Rouge as a movie. It was very good. I mean, sure, no shade on Hugh Jackman as a human being. I just don't care for his movies very much, honestly. I liked him in The Prestige, but I can't say that I like, especially now as I've grown up, I can't say I love The Prestige anymore just because fucking Christian Bale. I forgot about your inexplicable hatred for Russell Crowe. How does no one know about The Prestige? I thought, like, everyone knew about that, because it came out at the same time as that other magician movie. What was the other one? It had Edward Norton in it? Yeah, The Illusionist. Christian Bale was in Newsies? What? 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 Nah. Nah. I think it was The Illusionist. Because I remember there was Hugh Jackman and and Christian Bale in The Prestige, and I'm pretty sure Edward Norton was in The Illusionist? Dang, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Because that was the big way that I remembered, like, that they were two separate things, was big buff boys, and then fucking nerdy man. I love Edward Norton. I don't think it was his last acting role, but yeah, no, David Bowie was in The Prestige as Nikola Tesla, which kind of annoyed me, honestly. I'm not a pirate voice, Travis! I can't, is this voice for the reading? As somebody who really appreciates Nikola Tesla as a human being in history, it did feel weird in The Prestige, but I was like, alright, that's fine. It's fine. Okay, I can do pirate voice for this passage. It can happen. Anyway, this was... he just needs... never enough pigeons. Or talking about the fact that he was a vegetarian. Or the fact that, like, he was probably asexual, which is adorable and precious to me. I don't know. Yeah, no, I can agree with that barely. Was not happy about how they wrote him, but he was very good as, David Bowie was very good as him. They definitely didn't do him justice in Doctor Who. Absolutely. I remember watching that episode with you, and it was still precious, but it was like, that's not my boy! That's not my boy! I love Tesla. Anyway, I'm gonna read this passage. This has been a very fun tangent. I'm gonna read this passage. We're gonna continue on, and then we can keep ranting, but we got like 10 minutes left to stream. I've never seen or heard of the Phineas and Ferb roller coaster, the musical. I mean, I know what Phineas and Ferb is, but I didn't know they had a musical. Oh boy. Okay. Pirate voice for this bad passage. Yar! Yar! I gotta remember how to speak like a pirate. A terrible thing has happened. One of the children got a hold of the red shard, bringing the demon I summoned all those years ago back into our world. We somehow cut the shard loose from the boy and averted chaos, but this proves I was right. The crystal binds with the shard's power. I shall call the children shard binders. The shard binding incident made apparent our need to teach the children self-discipline. The guild has introduced just such a regimen to verse them in combat by pitting them against the demons we summon. One boy, Jeeble, has shown tremendous ability, but his crystal growth lags behind the others. Why? There you go, Travis. I mean, I liked the TV show Phineas and Ferb. Well, there you go. Thank you for the lurk, Travis. We'll see you later, friends. No, I'll definitely have to check that out at some point. I would like- oh! I was gonna say, I would like to get to a save spot. And I expected that to take a little longer, so we'll press ahead just a little bit. Just a smidge. And see what's up here. And then save again. And call it there. I mean, Phineas and Ferb had some pretty dang good music. How do I get down? There's gotta be a doorway over there. Can I also... Gotta unlock as much of the map as possible. You know how it is. That's a boss door?
What took you so long?
Oh, hi, Jeeble.
Now that you've tasted the power of so many shards, I presume you're ready to join me.
You presume wrongly. I'm here to keep my promise to you, and nothing else.
What promise?
You really have forgotten then? I swore to you that I would stop you if your Shardbinder power ever manifested itself against your will. You made the same oath to me.
Please. Do you think I wield this
Jeeble's just
power
over here
willingly?
lounging.
I do. I've known it since our meeting on the Galleon. But there was a moment when I saw a flicker of the real Jewel beneath all that hate.
So we've added some cosmetics a little bit. We've changed the color of her outfit to be a little more, you know, Waluigi-esque. This is not what she originally looked like, but we're here for it. It's some powerful fashion.
Fool! I've had enough. If you want to stop me, you have to do it by force.
Caitlin from Roller Moxie from Borderlands. I can see it. I can see it.
Next time, obey.
Oh fuck! I'm not ready to fight Jeeble.
Vaiska!
Get fucked, Jeeble. You absolute idiot. Ouch. I just wasn't prepared, that's all. I can't see anything! Excuse you, sir! I didn't like that zoom!
Come forth, my faithful.
I did. Yeah, he got real touchy real fast, and it's like, no, I didn't say that that was okay. He's doing it again! Stop! Sir! What makes you think that this is okay? Get fucked, Jeeble!
Forgive me, Jeeble.
You...
Right? No means no. I said no!
Thank you.
Yeah, first try. Jeeble, absolute chump.
Is it over?
That's not the...
We did what we came here to do. We stopped Jeep.
That's not the end of the game.
But the castle is still there. The demons.
Yes, but Dominique and the church can take it from here.
You think so? I have a bad feeling about all of this.
Also, even if they had that kind of relationship beforehand, we have the right to revoke consent now. And say, nope, we don't want that.
What would you have us do? It's out of our hands now.
Perhaps, but...
Okay, so this is a Castlevania type situation. This is a Symphony of the Night type situation where we gotta find Gregory. I know it's Gremory, but we gotta find Gregory and beat the shit out of that smexy little demon. I mean, obviously not the real ending, obviously. But we gotta find Gregory and be like, you can't control my friend! My friends are my power! And then, not Nothing. Where is this? We don't. I've been on my Kingdom Hearts tangent before. It's fine. It's a lot all of the time, though. And like, I don't know. There were just too many games. Excuse you. No, not the poison. It's fine. Oh my god. If I ever have to play Kingdom Hearts again, well, it won't be like the last time, Allie, but I would 100% get drunk and play it with you. Got the achievement Demon Hunter? And we could just make Mickey Mouse noises together again. It was a good time. Oh. This is where the cursed Mickey Mouse noise came from. It's true, it's true. Okay, let's go save, because it's time. A more more self-aware Kingdom Hearts would be great. Who's weirder and grosser, Donald or Mickey? Donald. Mickey is being negligent of the entire kingdom, sure, but Donald 100% has the ability to heal me constantly and doesn't. That motherfucker lets you die all the time for no reason because he's an idiot and he's the worst magician ever. He's supposedly the best wizard in all of the kingdom and he fucking sucks. That's my rant about Donald Duck. Plus he makes those bad noises. Those bad noises and we don't like that. I'm never making that sound again. I'm so sorry. No, I mean just even in general, if we're like looking at all of Disney lore, all of everything Disney ever, and you're trying to compare whether Mickey or Donald is the worst, I think everything that Donald did in Kingdom Hearts validates why Donald is the worst. And that's thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That's why Donald is the worst character that ever existed. Alright, well, while you're clipping that. I mean, yeah, sure, Mickey also makes cursed noises, but he doesn't constantly leave me to die when I need him to heal. He doesn't promise me that he'll heal me in my time of need, and then not. Mickey's pretty upfront about being a piece of shit and running away all the time and not doing anything for any of his friends. Thank you for the cursed clips. I gotta get on this month's clip video. I didn't realize October came so dang fast. Alright, let's find a friend to raid. But while we're doing that, sub, not sun. Sun raid! First message is for anyone who's not a sub. It's got emotes that you can use. Otherwise, the second one is has our channel emotes in it. Let's see who we got online. As per usual, if anybody has any recommendations, let us know. But it looks like the Hot Cross doing some Outlast. The Just Ryan is doing some Dead by Daylight. Cub Moth is doing some Resident Evil. And Queer Company is doing some Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Nintendezi is on Wind Waker Rando. Does that sound good? We want to go see New Friend? Aw, thanks. We love new friends though. Let's go check out Nintendezi. Nintendezi. Yeah, okay, no, I pulled it up. It recommended it before I finished fully typing it out. So that looks great. Let's go ahead and start that raid. Alright. Well, as always, y'all are great. I love you. You're fantastic. I'll be back this evening with some more... What is it? Ender Lilies! That's the game we're playing this evening. It's gonna be fantastic. And yeah, take care of yourselves. I love you. We'll see you next time. Have a whole good one. Oh no, I only got the whole rant. Fuck. All right, I'll have to watch those back. But no, I love you. Take care. Go say hi to our new friend. Bye, guys.